What up? Welcome to another episode of Two Lost Conversations, where we talk with some of the dopest artists that are on the Two Lost platform. Today we are excited to have another dope artist from New York. This
Oh
time, I
yeah.
know we had Isaac Zale last time. He was from Vancouver. Now we're going to the other coast. My man Ben Beal, what's going on?
How we doing? It's good to be here.
Nah, appreciate you joining us. Definitely want to dive into your career and the success that you're having now. But let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about your story. How long have you been rapping?
It's been a really long time. I started a typical rite of passage on my MacBook computer I got in fifth grade. Started recording directly in GarageBand through the little camera and microphone on the laptop. So no equipment, no anything. I would rip Kanye and Big L beats off YouTube and
Nice.
write my own lyrics. Didn't realize that it was the early stages of a songwriting career, but it was just something I loved to do. I'd go home after school every day. Me and my friends would all chill in my room and just write raps and record over these beats. Eventually, it became a thing where I didn't even think about it. It was just something I knew I was going to do at the end of the day after school. To the point where in around middle school, late middle school, early high school, I started making my own beats,
Dope.
and it just kind of spiraled out of control from there. I got into SoundCloud. I started uploading my music, found a little community, and the community just grew. And I felt like I was part of something a lot bigger than myself. The music was a encapsulation of that, and it was so much fun. I made so many friends, URL friends that I could make music with because I'm from a town where not a lot of people were making music. I had a couple friends that they would help me find my taste in music, but it was never that serious. It was more like everyone was kind of like, why the fuck is this kid rapping? It's so it's so out of the norm here. I found this community on SoundCloud, the lo-fi scene, and really found solace in it and like found my people. And dude, now I'm out in LA working with the same people that I was making music with on SoundCloud all those years ago. So it's been 10, 12 years at this. I've been making music forever, dude.
Dope. No, so I apologize. I wasn't familiar with your music until I met you very recently, but I checked it out, and you can tell. I can always tell the artists that have really gotten their reps in. And you saying that you kind of started making music or writing raps in the fifth grade, it makes sense now when I listen to the music. Okay, yeah, he's been doing this for a while. So fifth grade. So you said it's about 11 or 12 years now.
Yeah, it's been a while. I always just like ballpark it because
Hmm.
I know it's at least after fifth grade because that's when I got my
Okay.
laptop. But it definitely was like the second I learned how to use GarageBand and the second I realized you could record vocals into it, it
Right.
was it was off. It was like all I did. And
Dope.
I played sports. I was on sports teams, but I was Troy Boltoning it. I was playing basketball and then making music in my free time, and it was amazing.
Dope, super dope. So obviously at in the fifth grade, you're not thinking about maybe you're thinking about it eventually being a career, but it's really just like the love and the passion for, developing the craft. At what point did you pivot and start to like think about this as a career?
It actually was kind of recent because until the pandemic, I never thought it would be a full-time career or something that would be, viable or lucrative. It was always just like a passion. And you know what they say about your passion? It's like when your passion becomes your job, it's a job. It
Hmm.
loses its luster. It's like it's not the same as it was. So my whole tenure making music, I was dreading the idea that one day I'm gonna have to decide to try to make this my career, like keep it fun, and that's what it is. It'll just stay fun. But then when I was in college and COVID happened, when I was a senior, I went back to my parents' house. I had nowhere to go, obviously, very little money. I and my music was doing really well at that point. I was seeing success streaming, so I talked to my parents, and I have no one knows when we're leaving the house, and I could either move to LA and pursue music or try to get a job right now. So the next couple months, that's what all I'm going to be thinking about, trying to make the decision. I ended up signing a deal with Two Lost, and that let me go out west. I leased a house in LA. I moved with one of my best friends, my cousin Cole, and it just, dude, since then, it's like I said, it's been spiraling out of control. The music has only gone up. I feel like I'm growing with the company, by the way, because as Two Lost explodes, the music's also exploding. So it feels like something that's viable. And the fact that I'm out here with amazing producers and other artists, it's starting to feel fun again. It's
Dope.
not feeling like game time decision. It was getting to a point where I felt like I was clocking in to work in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just feel like now I'm in a position to really enjoy it, and every day, most random shit happens.
Dope.
The plays the music's taking me is crazy.
Dope. Well, so you kind of fast forwarded. Let me go back a little bit, right? Because most artists just don't start out like doing amazing, getting a lot of streams. We really want to explore kind of those moments where you were kind of building up. Probably a lot of frustration in the beginning. I'm assuming you can
Oh
validate
yeah,
that.
oh yeah.
You know, it's a tough road to kind of start getting some traction, especially streaming now with so many songs being released daily. Like, what was that process like for you, and how did you start getting your initial traction from a streaming perspective?
It's honestly like it's crazy thinking about where I was at when I was younger making music because the only thing I cared about was that I would get positive comments on my SoundCloud link, and I didn't. I guess I was kind of like oblivious at the time to what was happening, but the songs I would post on SoundCloud would get like 2,000 streams, 3,000 streams, and then over the years they started really growing. The standard for me by the time I was in high school was getting 100,000 streams on the SoundCloud release. I didn't realize that these were real people listening. I just thought it was like a game to me. I loved seeing the numbers increase on SoundCloud because I just felt like that was the gauge of quality. But the main thing I learned like throughout the way, especially like trying to grow something like a music career, because there's a million artists and only the 0.001% make enough money to survive or have a lucrative career. I never, my goal was never to blow up or, you know, make this my life, have a full-time job in music. It was more like I just wanted to just see how far I could take it. Like I said before, it wasn't fun anymore. And one day I dropped a song called Smile and everything changed. It was like I was seeing relatively small numbers until then. I mean, I wouldn't say hundreds of thousands of streams are small numbers, but you know, in the grand scheme, it's very small compared to what Smile did once it dropped. On SoundCloud alone, it did like 5 million streams in the first year or so. And I was 16 or 15 when it released on SoundCloud, 15. And I just watched that shit take off. The producer posted it on Spotify, got picked up on a million editorials. The song exploded. It was all over the internet. And I just like something I never planned for. It kind of just happened. And the thing I learned from it is that if the music's good and you believe in it, like it's music that you could listen to if someone else made it. You know what I mean? If let's say your favorite artist made the song you just made, if you feel like you could bump that alone in your car, like in your room, then people are gonna find it and have that same feeling when they listen to it. So I just believed in the music always, and the results speak for themselves.
Dope. So I wanted to talk about Smile as well. So let's do that. So up until Smile, was it like a regular cadence of releases? Was it just kind of when you felt like you had something to put out? What was the approach before Smile took off?
It's actually funny because I didn't do anything differently with Smile than I did for my typical releases. Basically, I would make a song in my room, no engineer, no mixing and mastering. I would record myself on Ableton, and I was lucky because my dad he's in post production and video editing. So when his post production company closed down, he had a lot of equipment that he was able to just take because they were liquidating. And I got a U87, a really nice microphone, literally the gold standard of studios. I got that when I was super young. So I had an elite setup really young, which not a lot of artists can have. I've also on the flip side, I've also used shitty USB mics in the back seat of someone's car to record like my song Bluebird, which now has over 5 million streams. But so all I do is because the mic sounded so good, I definitely needed an engineer, but I wouldn't mix or master the songs. I'd make the song. If I liked it, I sent it to a bunch of friends. If they liked it, I posted on SoundCloud immediately. Smile was the exact same way. I made it in 20 minutes, sent it to some friends. They were like, "Dude, this is special," and I just posted on SoundCloud, and then the rest is history. There wasn't really like a real process. I And I miss those days when you don't overthink it. The results in those days were crazy, and it's because it wasn't political. It wasn't like there wasn't like a whole process where I have to promote and pitch. It's just good music, and once I realized it, it would be out for people to hear.
Yeah. No, I mean, so when I talk to artists, especially artists that have a song that bubbles, whether it's 40 million streams, 50 million streams, I know that Smile has like 60 million streams on Spotify alone. When I checked it out, it's typically the same response. I said, "How did that happen?" And they're like, I don't
No,
know. It just people it resonated with people, and it just started, the algorithm started showing it love because people started putting it in their playlists, and then maybe it got some editorial playlists, maybe not, but they don't know exactly how it happened, right? Because even when I played it, I played the song. It's a cool song, but I liked so many of your other songs better. Like for me, but that just goes to show you just don't know. You got to put it out. You got to put the songs out, and you never know which song is going to resonate with people and get a lot of traction. And for you, that was Smile. So that was, that's pretty dope. So
it's so random, dude. It's I like you said. I also agree. I mean, Smile's super old at this point, but I have so many songs that I feel like if someone just gave it a chance and you know showed it to a million people, it would be my biggest song. I mean, Concussion just beat Smile for the. It's the first song to do more streams in a month than Smile in 7, 8 years, however long it's been since it came out. And that just goes to show. I have random songs in my catalog that have the growth potential, and it's completely random. You never know when a song is going to pop or how it's going to pop. But I love that about the music industry. It's just a lot of my favorite artists have so many hidden gems. I love when they get unearthed and people realize that they were sleeping on a certain part of the catalog.
yeah, and like you said, so up until recently, like you didn't have a song that got you as many streams per month as a song that Smile came out, what, 2016?
Yeah, I think. No, 2014 on SoundCloud,
2014.
I think. Yeah,
But
it's
that
been a while.
but that to me that speaks towards like the power of streaming to give you like pretty much passive income for that long, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Songs can live for a very long time. It can be very lucrative for artists to be able to sustain and invest back into your career so that you can continue doing this. I think that's pretty dope. So
It's actually funny. Sorry for
go
interrupting.
ahead.
It's funny with Smile because I actually wasn't getting income on the song until Too Lost helped me maintain my ownership. So the song got posted on Spotify without my permission, or I guess I gave permission, but I didn't know the power of streaming yet or Spotify.
Mm,
Um, I didn't have a page yet, so when the producer asked, I was just like, "Oh my God, the song's gonna be on Spotify? That's sick!" And then it absolutely went crazy on Spotify, and I didn't end up getting a split on the song. So the song did like 30 million streams before I got a split.
damn.
And that's because of Two Lost. They not only did they get my ownership in publishing settled, but we were about to get sued by the Sinatra estate for the sample. And Two Lost bought the original master of the song so that so that it could stay on the platform and continue to do what it has to do. Because you know how messy sample clearance gets. Obviously,
For
it wasn't
sure.
cleared, and it's on the producer to do the diligence of a sample clearance usually, or the record label that has the power to do it. But I was 14 or 15 in my bedroom. Like I didn't have lawyers or a legal team to pursue the sample. But crazy story. That all happened when I was a sophomore or junior in college. Like it was super recent. For a while, I was making no money from music and had a hit song.
Right.
So it's a weird industry, man. It's a weird industry. But I have a lot of love for Two Lost because of that.
Yeah, let me just kind of correct you a little bit. It's not on the producer. It's whoever puts it out, right? So it's the label, whoever kind of has master ownership.
Yeah.
So most artists are kind of do-it-yourself artists that are probably listening to this. So it's really on you guys to clear the samples if you guys are putting it out. It's not even on the producer, really. It should be on the producer to communicate to you that there is a sample in the song, because sometimes artists don't even know that there's a sample in the song, or because the producer doesn't tell them. But at the end of the day, it's the artist's responsibility or the label's responsibility to do that. But I'm glad you got it sorted,
I
man.
gotta do my yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta do my diligence thing going forward. But nah, samples have been cleared. We're chilling right now. I hope
Dope.
no jazz singers from the '50s come after me.
Dope. Well, I mean, so where does that come from? Because I listen to your music and I hear a lot of the jazz influence, the jazz samples, kind of like an older school feel. Where does all that come from?
It comes from just like my upbringing, listening to such a wide variety of music. My dad and my grandpa put me onto such a cool mix of like jazz fusion, and then like classic rock and all this like I was listening when I was in first grade to Bill Evans, Ben Folds, Pink Floyd, Living Color, the craziest assortment of bands. And I grew up a huge fan of classic rock and jazz before hip hop. And then once I discovered hip hop, I was listening to Big L, Kanye, Tupac, and Biggie, Jay-Z, like early Blueprint. That just like when I realized that rappers were taking jazz, which I loved for the, you know, the chaos and the instrumentation, it just like clicked. I knew that that was the type of music that I needed to find, needed to discover. And then once I started making music, I just instantly gravitated towards it. Then I
Dope.
found rappers like Wiz Khalifa, Mac Miller, Schoolboy Q, artists that were, you know, going crazy in the mixtape days. And that was the days that was like the time period where every day after school, not only was I making music, but I was digging through datpiff.com and, you know, downloading mixtapes and hearing all these artists just give incredible projects for free. I want to be that.
Dope.
And they also channeled those same influences. Like you could hear in rappers like that, you could hear so much old school rap influence, but
Hmm.
with that new school flair, and
Dope.
it's cool.
Nah, you could definitely hear it when I was listening to some songs. I was like, yeah, he had to have like a wide variety of quality influences. And did you mention Living Color? Was like a black rock band? That
Yeah, yeah.
I
My
remember.
aunt Jenny put me on when I was super young.
Yeah, I remember. Obviously, I'm a lot older than you, but I remember those cats.
They were incredible.
Dope, dope. So I want to go back to something that you mentioned. It was. Are you having fun still? Because I know that you just make the music, put it out. It was just so genuine and fun and authentic. Have you been robbed of that at all, or are you still in that mode, or do you go in and out? How are you feeling now?
It doesn't feel the same as it used to. It doesn't feel
Mm.
as much of like a hobby or a passion. There's a lot at stake now. You know, it's there are good days and bad days for sure. Like when a lot of different voices have shit to say about something that I'm creating, it's it's hard to not get invested in like the chatter. And I know that every celebrity, artist, author, politician, whatever, they're like, don't listen to the haters, don't listen to the people talking. But how do you not do that? Like it's impossible.
Hmm.
Even if you're even if you passively see something, it could have a huge effect on your mood, your day. But I don't know. It's not like that's that big of a factor for me, but it's just like it just definitely doesn't feel the same as it used to. It doesn't feel like just like comments on SoundCloud anymore. It's like I'll go on Instagram or Twitter or I'll see a family member and they'll have something to say about something I just did or made and I don't like it. But you know, I've made so many friends through music and it brought me out here. Like I wouldn't have like half the people in my life that I do now if I wasn't making music. So I'm forever grateful.
Hmm.
And I'm grateful that I'm just in the position I am with the music. Like the fact that I could put out a song, millions of people will hear it. There's a lot of weight that comes with that and a responsibility, and I'm genuinely appreciative for it. But yeah, like I said, it's just different. Uh, it doesn't feel like when I was younger, which I hate because I'm so nostalgic all the time. And like the type of music I make is especially nostalgic, like lo-fi music. All the samples I use, it's supposed to like, you know, teleport me back in time to when shit was simpler. That's the goal at least. And yeah, it's not the same. But that being said, on my good days is a lot of fun. You know, going on tour was the best time of my entire life. Also different though, because I've never done anything like that. Going on a couple more tours this year. Studio session.
Did you headline the tour, or were you supporting another artist on the tour?
I was supporting my friend Matt Watson, who's a pop singer, indie pop, bedroom pop, whatever you may call it. And his fans were so welcoming and amazing. Like every venue sold out, so every night at tour was like a new chance to prove myself. And I think I proved myself. It was a lot of fun, and I really got to perfect and polish the set. Which usually when I do a show, it's a one-off, and then I'll have to wait weeks to do another show. So you don't really get your reps in, you don't get the practice. The tour was like I got to really get good as a performer, and now all I do is think about the next one. It's all I look forward to.
So yeah, when you're an opener for a headlining artist, obviously most of the people in the room are looking forward to seeing the headline act. So they're like, all right, whatever, let's get to the headlining act. So you really have to put on a really good show to capture their attention. Of course, you probably had some fans there too, sprinkled throughout the audience. But
for sure,
what were some of the changes that you made to your show to make it better from the start of the tour to the end of the tour?
That's a good question. I mean, there's the natural, like, changing the set around, trying new songs that I've never played before. I make an interesting genre of music for shows because it's very chill music. And for anyone that's seen me on stage or watched videos of me performing, I have crazy energy on stage. I'm like a different animal because the adrenaline is the hardest drug you can take. Lo-fi is not a natural, like, high energy performance. Somehow I made it a high energy performance though, because I'll play some of my chiller songs and still be jumping around and stage diving. Regardless of if I hit the ground or not, I'll still stage dive. Which, by the way, there's a video of that too. If you want to watch it, it's on my Instagram.
You're not the smallest cat. You're not the smallest cat to be.
Nah, I'm 5'10", 5'11", and everyone had their phones out, and I would dive into the crowd, and nobody had two hands available, so I'd just crush people. But something I did was I wanted the set to start off from the millisecond the music plays. I wanted to start off high energy. I don't want a moment of dullness because I've done shows for artists like A Boogie and Made in Tokyo where I'm not a good fit on the bill. They just needed like a seat filler. I did that throughout college. I was opening for artists way bigger than me, for crowds that had no idea who the fuck I was. And it would just be a bunch of blank faces in the crowd. They didn't care. They were just waiting for the headliner. This tour was different. There was a lot of fans there. The crossover with Matt's fan base was amazing because he's put me on a lot. He's introduced his fans to me. So when I walked on stage, people already knew me. But what I did was I played the Family Guy theme song right before I got on stage. My DJ would, shout out DJ Jim, he would play the Family Guy theme song. The entire crowd would sing it because it's one of the most recognizable songs. And it ends with a big finish, like the end of the Family Guy theme song, the hard end. And because the whole entire crowd was singing, they'd get really excited for whatever was about to happen next. And it would transition immediately to my first song, which was Rain Clouds. Crazy high energy song. And I'd say a really good demonstration of who I am, just the way I performed it. And dude, that changed the entire set. The tone of the set was incredible after that. And it was something that like became kind of a signature. Like people were taking videos of that transition. So before you know it, like videos of that were all over Twitter and people were so excited to hear that Family Guy theme song because it was the cue that I was about to come on stage. But that's something that I'm gonna try to do something like that every time I get on a stage forever.
Is there a connection between, like, do your fans know you're a Family Guy fan, or was that just something that you knew would resonate with the audience, or is that something you're genuinely a fan of, Family Guy?
That's a good question. I just had faith that a majority of the people there would like it. The reason why I think my fans like connect really heavily with cartoons is because that's a huge theme and like motif in my music. My last album was called Cartoons. I like to think of myself as a musician, as a cartoon character. That's why my Instagram profile picture is like a claymated cartoon. It's just from the interactions I've had with fans. I follow a lot on Twitter. Family Guy's not just a meme. It's an amazing show that everyone grew up watching. So, like I said, it goes back into the nostalgic factor.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of if you love the show or not, you're gonna know the theme song because it's just an iconic theme song. Seth MacFarlane's a genius. So it was definitely a leap of faith when we did it in LA for 650 people. Like the literal entire crowd sung it, and I knew from then on that
Nice.
this fan base definitely rocks the Family Guy. And
Nice.
yeah, it's something that I'll never forget hearing the transition from them screaming the words to my first. It was great.
Nice. Dope. So I got a few questions about Two Laws, but I just reminded myself that, because you said earlier in the interview that even when you made songs in the very beginning, you were doing it for like positive comments, right? I don't know if you said that exactly, but that kind of makes me better understand kind of where you're at now with it, because it's, if an artist leans too heavily into the positive comments, you're probably going to lean too heavily into the negative comments as well. So
Right.
so what can take you up can take you down as well. So
For
like,
sure.
are you still looking at like comments? Does it impact you the same way? Have you figured out a new way to kind of like be more even keel so that you're not like so up and down all the time?
It used to be it used to be like that where a negative comment could ruin my day, and I know I mentioned in this interview, but I'm kind of numb to it at this point. Even positive comments, like it's weird to be perceived by so many people, and I know that sounds kind of like a little douchey, but it's when there's a lot of opinions on your music, it starts to all just get jumbled together. I get a
Right.
lot of comments, like neutral comments. Yo, you give Mac Miller vibes, or you sound like Mac Miller, and then I'll get comments like,
Right.
we don't need more rap like this. And
Right.
then comments are like, this is great, I love it. But at the end of the day, if I feed into it, it's going to change how I make music. And I've been
Mm-hmm.
trying as hard as I can to not let it impact that.
Mm-hmm.
It's, yeah, like I said, it's weird as hell when so many people have opinions on me. When this all just started because I was just rapping over Big L beats in my parents' house. And yeah, it's just weird. It's like there have been comments that I've taken more personally than others just because either they're super personal, insane comments that
Yeah.
I can't believe people would even type. But yeah, it definitely takes me out of my element a little
Yeah.
bit. But my main thing is like I've been trying as hard as I can to get better, and it has I have a lot of friends in LA that deal with very similar stuff, and I've had a lot of conversations about it. And it seems like it's something that nobody can really control. It's sometimes it sucks, sometimes it's whatever.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, I've talked with a lot of artists, and they deal with it in different ways. Like some, regularly see a therapist, or just focus on meditation or breathing or working out or just keeping a good diet and things like that. But at the end of the day, I think, you focus on your community, that you're growing and building, and hopefully you keep more on the positive side. And I mean, you see that, even I see, I mean, I'm not as much of a public figure as you, but I've been on podcasts and now and things like that, and giving people a chance to comment on the things that I do, so I could see how like negative comments can bother you. Like it's just messed up that some of the things people will say, take the time out of their day to say to somebody else, and this is, man. So hopefully you got some good people around you. Sounds like you got a good community of
Yeah.
artists that are dealing with the same thing, that you guys can, hopefully bounce ideas off of and just kind of keep it moving.
I'm definitely lucky for that. And also I have a great family,
Mm,
like a very supportive family. Like my sister will send me hate comments. She'll take screenshots of them and text me them and be like, LMAO.
nice.
And like, I guess kind of like being able to laugh at yourself too a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like something I tell myself all the time is, yeah, this sucks that this person hates me based off this verse, but they wasted their energy letting me know that, which means that's a conversion right there. And
Yeah.
there are people that like the music, so this isn't an end all be all. This is just someone that doesn't fuck with you, and that's something that every person ever has to deal with. There are going to be people that don't fuck with you,
Eh,
When it comes to music, though, when it's something you create and take a lot of time to create it, it's a different feeling than just someone just not liking you because it's your work, your intellectual property. It's something that means a lot to you. I don't know. It's it's
and
something that's just like
the
a
the
constant issue.
the worst place to be is to get no comments, in my opinion. Like
Exactly, exactly.
to just be, right? Because obviously you got a lot of people that love you, and then you got the haters that come. At the end of the day, that's double the comments. Feeds into the algorithm, probably gets your music more exposure at the end of the day.
Some hate comments are honestly hilarious. Some people are really creative with the way they could hate, and it's yeah. Sometimes it's entertaining. Who knows?
Yeah. So let's talk about. I mean, you talked about Two Lost and the role that they've played in helping you with your career in terms of buying out the master so that Smile can continue to be monetized and you can benefit from that. What are some of and then I guess you signed a deal with Two Lost and that helped you get to LA. What has just been outside of those things, which are very big things, like what has just kind of been your experience working with Two Lost?
It's only been positive. There's such a good team here. I mean, I tried every distributor. Being an independent artist is a huge thing for me. Having the control of my music, and they put me in a position where not only can I be on top of my music, but have resources at my disposal that grow the music. There are very few companies that do that. Like I feel like when I was dropping with the other companies, it felt like I was dropping to the void, just hoping that after the distribution process, something good will happen to the song. But I'm kind of reassured every time I have a release that someone's, going to pitch it and promote it. So I've only grown as they've grown, as the resources got better. Just owning 100% of my masters and my back catalog, and have any issues ever, it's handled same day. It's just for an independent artist, it feels like I'm part of a label, like,
Hmm.
and it makes me feel like there's no need for a label having this much control over my music and the support system. So yeah,
Right.
it's been only amazing, and that's why I try to get all my friends onto Two Lost because we really like all the people that I brought on and my artist friends that are already on, like we feel super comfortable here, and there's no complaints ever.
Nice. And then just so people understand, so Two Lost is a self-service distribution platform. However, if you're doing well, there is an opportunity to get even more services and work directly with the team at Two Lost if things starts to pick up for you. But even in the self-service distribution platform, there are a lot of tools and features that are super helpful for artists at every level. Ben was just fortunate enough to catch. I don't know how the initial introduction happened, or like what was it that initially put you on their radar? Was it like streaming numbers? Was it a relationship? Like how did that happen?
Yeah, so I actually was a sophomore in college, I believe, and the CEO, Greg, reached out to me. He was the house engineer at Quad Studios, so he was in the music industry. He had a couple ventures going, like a record label that he was working on, more of like a collective with a bunch of artists that he grew up with, and he was mixing for some huge artists like Ariana Grande, Post Malone, and I was blown away by his resume. But we're also from the same county, like 10 minutes away from each other, our hometowns.
Nice.
And I was in Maryland at the time, but he's like, yo, if you come back to New York, I'll get you in the studio. I'll record an album for you and mix it, and you don't have to pay. Come to the studio. I'm at Quad, which is a legendary studio. Everyone that is around the tri-state area from New York knows about Quad. It's insane. So I got on a megabus, had no money. I was also at a point where I almost quit music. I was getting way too distracted with college, and I wasn't having any fun recording. It felt like a chore. So I was in a bad place. Greg brought me out of that. We became instant friends because the album we made was awesome and we had a lot of fun doing it. So we stayed in touch, and then fast forward after a few years of being friends, he tells me that he's starting a distribution company and I should try out their like beta, their bare bones skeleton of what's now Two Lost. And I was one of the first artists on the platform, not knowing what it was going to become. But I had a lot of trust in Greg because he's a super smart kid, and he's always been successful with like whatever he's done. So put my music up through them. The song that I dropped did awesome, and I kind of like put my trust in Greg, let him, handle my releases, help me with the ins and outs of distribution because he knew so much about it. And I didn't think at the time that Two Lost was going to become what it is now, but it exploded. The second that it was out of the beta and the team came together, the developers, the content team, marketing, label services, it became a contender. Like it really put itself on the map against the other big ones like DistroKid, TuneCore, CD Baby, and it's better than any company that I've used. So because of Greg, I owe a lot to Greg from just how much I've grown with the company. And yeah, it all started with that Twitter DM to sum it up.
Dope, man. Well, I only got a couple more questions. One, I do want to talk a little bit about your college experience because, I think some artists are sometimes weigh the decision. Should I keep going to school? Should I pursue music? Should I do both? Obviously, you were able to do both. You went to the University of Maryland. I believe that's the Terrapins, right?
Yeah.
I'm old, so I remember like Juan Dixon. I think you guys won a championship. I think Juan Dixon was
I think so too.
Was hooping when you guys won the championship. That's how old I am. But what were you doing, like music stuff in college? Were you doing parties, performing, anything like that? What was that experience like?
I was doing shows throughout my entire college experience. Like freshman year, I was doing sold out shows with A Boogie and Made in Tokyo, like I said, at the Fillmore in Silver Spring. I was doing, later on in college, I was doing more on-campus venues, smaller venues that I'd headline. All my friends would pop out. People knew me as the kid that was making music. It wasn't getting big yet, but it was definitely good enough where people were noticing. Mm-hmm. And then I dropped my song Terrapin my junior year of college, and oh my God, that was fun as hell. Because it was a Maryland-themed song, even though the song is about how much I hated being in college and wanted to just like go home. And I felt like I was wasting my money and time. Not that I had any money, but everyone loved that. They would I'd be chilling with my friends and they just start singing the hook. Girls loved the song, which is really cool. They played it at parties, and I don't know if that sort of reaffirmed that I need to start focusing on music again because I was getting really distracted in school. It wasn't like I wasn't majoring in music or anything. I wasn't studying music. I got an English degree because I kept failing out of different majors. I kept working my way down the scale of majors from business to English. I ended up loving English. I had a great time. My classes were awesome and my teachers were cool. But I still was just like, I'm a bad student. Spent a lot of time sleeping and watching movies. So I was wasting a lot of time not focusing on music. Terrapin dropped and then everything changed. I got really serious about it again, and since then it's been just consistent.
So did you finish school or you dropped out?
I finished school. So my senior year when COVID started, I had to go back to my parents' house. I had to go back home, and then my classes were online. So okay. It was super interesting. My little sister, I paid her like $300 to do my math class. She was a junior in high school at the time, and she passed a senior college level math class for me.
Nice.
I'm such a bad student. I was, especially math. I never could do math. So shout out Becca for that. It was rough, especially just knowing that my college career ended and having to be back at my parents' house. It was super weird, but that's when I really started hyper focusing on my music career because I knew it was a game time decision. I knew I had to choose. So I got home and made my album Cartoons, and that was actually Birdland, I think. Yeah, my album Birdland came out, and it was just such a great experience finishing it and, having the time in the day to just sit. I had nothing to do but make music. So that kind of got my shit together in a sense.
Nice. So last question, what advice do you have for artists? Obviously, there's a shitload of music that comes out every day. I don't know what the number is now, but maybe it's 100,000, 70,000. I don't know what it is. It's a lot of music. So you got to really put out a lot of content these days and try to cut through the clutter. What is your advice for artists out there that are currently don't have much traction, maybe feel lost in the process? What's your advice for those folks?
I say this all the time, but make the music you want to make. Don't try to make music for other people. Make music you would listen to if another artist made it. Like, I'm making lo-fi. That's not by any means close to the mainstream, close to what's popular, but I believe in it and I love it, and you can see the music now, you can see the results, and if you really believe in it and really like the music, you can make it popular. So don't try to fit a bill, don't try to fill a box, like do whatever the fuck you want with music and you'll be successful. Stay consistent, stay creative, and use Too Lost.
There you go. Ben Beal, ladies and gentlemen, I know you're closing in on 1 million monthly listeners. Have you gotten over that before and has it pulled back, or are you still trying to hit the mill?
I'm still in awe of what's happened the past couple months. We broke 900K for a literal week. Now we're back like in the 890s. But dude, I don't focus on numbers too much, but this is a number that I've been dreaming of forever. It's a huge milestone for me to get. So I text Greg every day, like, dude, did you see the analytics today? Dude, I think this week's gonna be the week. And then it keeps going up and down. And dude, I'm gonna release a song pretty soon, and hopefully that pushes me over. But if it doesn't, not the end of the world. This is something that I wanted since the second I made a Spotify page, so 7-8 years ago. So fingers crossed it happens soon.
Well, I'm sure you'll get there, man. Hopefully it continues to be fun for you. Do whatever you need to do to keep your health and to keep it being fun. And hopefully you have that 15-year-old living inside, or that 5th grader. I don't know what that would be. That would be 10, 11. The 10, 11-year-old still living within you. And hopefully it's still a joy when you find new samples and creating dope music, because that's what it's all about, man. But I appreciate you joining for another episode of Two Lost Conversations. Ben Beal, check him out. Where can we find you on your socials, man? Let them know.
I'm Ben Beal on Instagram and Twitter, and then just Ben Beal everywhere else, Beal. Also, I'm streaming on Twitch now. If you want to watch me do random stuff on live stream, I'm Ben Beal on Twitch.
Nice. There you go. All right, that's another episode of Two Lost Conversations. See y'all next time. Peace.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Indeed.